Okay. Please listen because, like I said, I believe your life is about to get a little easier.
Yes, I love making life.
And you can assist me in making your life easier by not talking, just listening. Okay, we talked about this before. Let's just look at problem number 9 over here. We talked the other day about the parent function. And when you have the absolute value, if f of x equals the absolute value of x, okay, the graph of that, the parent function of that, what the absolute value of a number looks like is this shape right here. Okay? Every graph that you did for today was that V-shaped. Okay? And as a matter of fact, every graph you did, the V shape had the same exact angle, I can guarantee you at this point. Okay? The only thing that changed, ladies and gentlemen, was where that V shape was. Oops, sorry. Whoops. So sometimes the V shape went down here, sometimes it. Oh, wait a minute, I was just moving that. Sometimes you just can't get this kind of entertainment. Sometimes it was down here, sometimes it was here, sometimes it was there, over there, and some of you got confused because it was over there and you couldn't figure out how that was even though you were doing it right. Okay? What does that, what we call shift, what changes where that V is located is all the other numbers that are around this little parent function thing. For example, problem number 9. If you look at your answer to problem number 9, your answer to problem number 9 should have been, your answer to problem number 9 should have been this. This little V ended up being right up here, correct? Okay, now see if you can come up with our first observation. If this would have been x plus 2, this would have been on the 2. If it would have been x minus 4, this little v would have been here. If it would have been x minus 6, the little v would have been down there. Anybody care to speculate what our first observation on this is going to be? This number out here, that positive 3 or whatever it is, tells you how far up or down that v is going to be. Okay, if you go look at problem number 12, if you got problem number 12 right, your vertex fell somewhere on this -1 line where y is. Now this doesn't tell me where right or left it goes, but the little v is going down to the -1 spot. Okay. Problem number 7. If you look at problem number 7, the vertex goes down to -3, and your graph looked just like that. If you go down, if it doesn't have a number after it, the point is going to be the vertex or on the x-axis somewhere. Okay, so that's your first thought. That's your first thought. Whatever number is out at the edge here. You know, if I have, I guess I can't. Let's just do a parent one here. If you have f of x equals the absolute value of x plus 2. Right off the bat, how fast this is, the graph is just this. Right here at positive 2 is your line. That's the graph of the absolute value of x plus 2. If it would have been the graph of absolute value of x minus 4, here at minus 4, it's going to be the same v. That's the graph of that. That's the shift. The up and down shift is that number that's outside of the absolute value. Now, the right or left shift comes from the number that's with the x inside the absolute value. Here's where it gets this gets a little goofy, by the way. Let's just do this. If you were to do this, if you were to make the function of x is the absolute value of x plus 2. If we do this, children, I'm not going to do the whole graph. I'm going to tell you the graph of this is going to be right here. That's what the graph of that will look like. Here's the confusing part here. What is this number next to the x here? A positive 2. When it's inside of that, you have to think of the opposite. In other words, if it's a plus 2, it actually shifts it to the minus 2 section. This number here is how far right or left. And write this down, a positive number, a positive means you shift it to the left. A positive number means you shift it to the left, and a negative number inside the absolute value sign means you shift it to the right. Okay, means you shift it to the right. And it'll be slightly confusing until we shoot you a couple examples there. Okay? And I want to get out of this so I don't have to keep shooting off this, so I'm going to. Blank screen, please. Blank screen. Let me show you this. Oh, medieval times. Here we go. So, here's the deal. If I have the f of x equaling the absolute value of x minus 2 plus 1. Watch the beauty of this. Let me just draw. Here's my graph. I'm going to start with my parent function, which is this. I'm just going to start with this and show you what happens. That would be if it was just function of x equals the absolute value of x. This number out here tells me I go up 1. This number in here tells me I go to the negative goes left or right.
Right.
I go right 2 places. 1, 2. That's the graph of it. Somewhat like
Sorry, I'm too puzzled.
What, yeah, same.
this tells you how far up or down it went up 1. The opposite of this tells you the right, left. Since it was up 1, opposite of negative 2 is positive 2, it goes 2 to the right.
So that's all we had to do, that whole page.
Yeah, but you wouldn't appreciate it unless I made you make a table.
I really appreciate it. Oh, my goodness.
Here again.
Take over.
Let's do it again.
X
Minus 6
Wait,
minus
so we don't have to make the graph?
4. No tables are required right now.
Oh,
Understand this.
how do you know that?
If you start with the parent function, which is this is just the absolute value of x, this number here tells you what? You go down 4 places.
And over.
1, 2, 3, 4. This number here, this is where the confusing thing is. I'm either going to move this graph 6 to the right or 6 to the left. If it's negative, you go to the
Right.
That's why you wrote it in your notes. You take it and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here's your graph. Now, children, let's throw one more thing in here. Just like with parabolas, if there's a negative in front of that, it's the same exact thing except it opens down. So it would just be this Well, I guess I can't flip it. I thought I could spin it. Let me get, hold on. It would be that. Same place, only going down. That's the negative absolute value of that. Okay, and if there was a number in front of that, I'm not gonna tell you what happens, it changes the angle of your V, but we're not gonna worry about
Oh, okay, alright. Wait, if there's a what now?
that. If there would be a number in front of the absolute value, will you multiply it by? Actually, what happens, if this was a 3, the bigger the number, the narrower the angle, the smaller the number, the wider. But we're not gonna worry about that.
Did you randomly make up your?
I believe the V is a 90-degree angle. So here, let me give you one. You graph this, just sketch the graph of the f of x equals the absolute value of x plus 3, absolute value of x plus 3 plus 4.
Right.
You should have it graphed almost by now. Sketch me the graph of where that would be. If I were given this problem, because you can't really move your V around like I just did there, I'm just gonna find where the vertex of my V is. And where the vertex of my V is up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Positive means I go left or right.
Left.
Up 4, left 3. 1, 2, 3. Here's the vertex of my V.
Yes.
Wait, did
Taylor just
you
did
just
that.
randomly make up your triangle?
OMG.
I did, just randomly make this triangle.
That you make?
Good for you.
Just know, Charlie, this is a 45-degree angle, and that's a 45 degree. This is a 90-degree angle in between.
I'm never doing that little hard thing ever again.
How can we just?
You have to.
Let's see really how intelligent you are now.
Oh, we are very. Until I had
Write me the equation of that graph.
Oh, dang, that's from Labbit.
This is
Oh!
hard.
Wait, is it plus whatever number outside of the absolute value?
Didn't get it.
Oh,
I'm gonna let
yeah.
you tell me, just think
Yeah.
backwards. Knowing that this number is how far up or down it goes, it didn't go up or down at all, it's right there, there should be no number out here.
Oh, did you put a zero?
I did that backwards.
This,
Same, Morgan.
it goes over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the right. So
And
that's
that's plus 4. 5 minus 5.
All the real numbers.
what is the domain or the x values that this can be? Help me out here. Emma Kunacek, what's the domain? What can x be going this way and that way? Where will this cross
All
that?
the real numbers.
Side to side, how wide can this graph go from side to side? Yeah, this is all real numbers because it goes forever in the left and right direction. The range is the up and down part. The range of this is what? Y is, what is Y right here? 0, and it's anything that is greater than or equal to 0. Starts here, goes forever in the up direction. That's your range. Understood there? Now, let me give you one more. How about this? We didn't do one of these, but let's do one right now. F of x is negative x minus 1 plus 6. What's the graph of the negative absolute value of x minus 1 plus 6?
Wait, do the graph?
Please graph that.
Oh, it's.
It should be done by now.
I got it.
Your first thought should be, oh, it's a negative absolute value, so it's going to open down. You need to find the vertex. The vertex is 6 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up. Minus means you go to the right 1. There, it opens down.
Oh, real?
I thought it's 6, I thought that it was changed to the negative.
I don't know what you're thinking. You thought what had to change negative?
Well, like the 1, like how you have to change it to the positive or the positive side.
Kendall? Because of this. If there is a negative sign in front of the absolute value, it's going to open down. Then it opens up. Everything we've done except for this one, there's been a plus sign in front of it. We don't put positive signs in this for no reason. If it's a negative, it opens down. Going back to what we just did here, Kendall, if this would have been a negative in front of that, then this would have started in the same place except opened down. If this would have been a negative, well, that one was negative. So just know if it's a negative in front of that, it opens down. Now, with that being said, children, your homework for tomorrow is going to deal with 6 of these,
Yay.
or 4 of these, in addition to 2 quadratics, which are this. And as a quick review to the quadratics, because you can't forget what we're doing there, what's the first thing you're supposed to do when you find a quadratic?
2a plus b minus
Negative b over 2a.
Oh!
Negative 2 over 2. That's the axis of symmetry, which you're at negative 1. You then put negative 1 into your equation, which gives you 1 minus 2 minus 3.
I like the B's a lot better.
Your parabola crosses the y, crosses the x-axis at negative 3, right? And then there's going to be 2 or 3 linear equations.
Okay.
That's just this, y equals 2/3 x plus 2.
Oh, okay.
How do you graph a linear equation? Bailey Rankin says, I know how to do this. Crosses the y-axis at 2, goes up 2 over 3. That's linear because it's a line. Quadratics. Look up here, I know most of you left the building a minute ago. What if you're given this equation? 3x plus 2y equals 10. It's a linear equation. Easiest way to do it is Grace Jones. By the way, a little clue here, Taylor followed me. Last one was slope-intercept. This is not in slope-intercept form. This is in
Linear.
standard form. How do you solve standard form linear equations?
US class
Monkey.
Work with me here, kids. Holly!
You cover up the X, the Y.
Now please follow along with me, Holly's right, we find it using x, y intercept, which means you do this. If you cover up the x, you find out where it crosses the y axis, which is where? Now here's where all people get all like, I can't believe it, blah. If I cover up the y, it doesn't go evenly into that. But remember, you are graphing, and graphing is never an exact science, so you can get close enough. What x should be what? 3 1/3. So you go 1, 2, 3, and like a third.
Where'd you get 5?
Beautiful, lovely.
2y equals 10.
And then 3 times.